All right, we're live. All right. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Public Utilities Commission to order for Monday, December 18th, 2017. If you would please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we get going, there's one item that I left off the agenda. I'd like to make a motion to add it under new business, and that is consideration of water line at 178 Greenwood Avenue. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that'll be item number one under new business. And for the record, let's see, we have a quorum, but we have Pete and Paul who are absent, just to let the record show that. So first order of business is public input. If there's anything anybody would like to share?
Hi, I'm
Yes, sir.
Bob Salerno, 1 Hollyberry Drive. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I've lived in Harrison, that's where I work. I have this job, I have Bob's job in another town. I'm here for 24 years, never been to a meeting, never had an occasion, happy the way everything is going, but there's something that lately has been troubling me, and that's with my sewer usage tax. I understand everything, how the whole thing works, but I irrigate my lawn a lot in the summertime. The last quarter, July, August, September, I run it through my water system three times a week, 2.5 hours a night. Now my bill goes up to $500 for the quarter. Now I choose to do that because I have an expectation for my lawn. However, that water's not going through my sanitary sewer and I'm being charged for it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind paying my taxes, but somehow I just feel that I'm not getting anything for that, and I know there's nothing in place that would be able to track that or meter it. I don't have a swimming pool, so my other 3 quarters are between $150 and $180 a quarter, and then the last quarter goes up to $500. I don't know. I don't have the answer, but is there anything that could be, any consideration that can be given to people in this position that have the spike that's very obvious, to help defray that? I mean, it's not going through there. Even if you look at the 3 quarters, I'd be happy to pay the highest quarter and duplicate that. I'm just asking for some, if there's anything that can be done to even look at that. And I know you guys don't get into dialogue with the public, and we don't either, but.
Sure. Are you on Aquarian Water there?
I am.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that $500, is that your combined, that's water bill
No,
and sewer?
that's just my
That's
sewer
just the
usage.
sewer. Okay.
I get an
'Cause it's
equal
ba-
bill
it's-
for the water.
Yeah, 'cause
But that I'm getting, I'm using that.
Sure, right.
But the other piece, I'm not, and I was wondering if there, and I don't have an answer, but is there anything that can be done to try to?
Kelly, do you want to comment? You're right. We can't get into a long discussion,
understand that.
but I wanted to have Kelly, who's our water supervisor, just comment on that.
I feel your pain, but there's a lot of homes in Bethel on our system and on well lines and on Aquarium where it's kind of the same situation. The only thing that you could really do is have a separate water line brought in that could be metered. I don't even know whether Aquarium would allow that for sprinklers, because Aquarium's rules are quite different than everybody else's. All the bigger companies are, regional, the same thing. What we do with homes that we don't supply water to, or they have their own wells, is we install a meter on the well line, which you have your meter on your water line
Correct.
also. That's our only way to calculate usage through the sewer, because there's really no meter that you could put on your 6-inch line going, leaving your home as to how much sewage goes out. So our mechanism to measure it is on the incoming water side. I know we've had the question on our system, the same thing. There's really, unless a separate service was brought in with a separate meter, there's no way to separate the two. I think what you may want to do is you can try going to Aquarium, see if they would let you install a second meter just for your sprinkler line. I don't think they'll do it.
And then my wife will really get after me for that one. I keep my mouth shut, pay the bill.
And what happens with that, now you're gonna have a quarterly charge on the meter itself. Is Aquarium doing monthly up here? Or-
They just went to monthly,
Yeah.
I think in
Yeah,
like
they-
October.
Yeah, well, I'm on
Just
Aquarium
started.
too, I live behind you, I'm.
Right, on Colonial.
Yeah,
You can try with Aquarium, but I don't know whether they're gonna let you put a second meter in there. Plus, then you get into backflow devices.
Right, backflow
There's so much added to it.
Would they have to run a separate line to the house?
yeah.
Yes, they would have to tap the line, bring a new service in, probably put in a meter pit, because Aquarium's, all new services are all meter pits. It's pretty pricey.
Yeah.
Um,
I remember when I built the house, it was 2,500 just to hook up.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure that
and-
thing
and
will
I'm
go down.
afraid They're probably gonna try to get you again on that. Like I said, I feel your pain. I know we have people in our system downtown here in the village with the same situation, but it's the only way that we can measure what goes into the sewer.
But I hear your I hear your feedback, I feel your pain too, I do have a pool, so yeah, I get some of the same problem. So, we'll take that under advisement, because what you're saying is, if there's a way to calculate like normal high use versus
Right.
irrigation, some kind of a
Like,
pricing
my
structure.
bills range from 150 to 180. I'd be willing to pay, the 180 or 200
Yeah.
on the high bill.
Yeah.
Just to allow for anything,
Yeah.
rather than having to go up to 500, because I'm not using that
Sure.
system.
Yes, okay.
I appreciate it.
You know, it's something we'll bring up. We have an annual review with a rate consultant who helps us make sure we've got enough revenue to keep the system working. So we'll bring up the issue with him at our next review and see if there's someplace for it to go. Unfortunately, it's probably not gonna be anytime in the
That's fine.
real near future, but we'll take a look at it.
Okay, great.
And on the other hand, if you make headway with Aquarium, I'd be curious if they would even allow
If they
that.
be, yeah,
You know, I really don't think they would.
I think that would be cost prohibitive, I really do.
Yeah, I think
Bring it
even if they
on the
went
line.
in the house and put a separate meter, I still think they're gonna clip you. They're gonna clip you, even on just the usage, for the meter itself, the monthly usage on the, because there's a set fee, like our fee is a certain fee up to 6,000 gallons a quarter. I don't know what region it does.
I don't think I'd be able to separate the house usage from the water,
Yeah, that's.
I mean, there's a
hard.
separate line there, but it all goes through the main one first.
Right.
So you guys are tied into that one, so.
yeah.
If there's anything, you just,
All
I'd
right,
appreciate
yeah.
it.
All right, well, yeah, we'll look into it.
You
Thank
don't feel
you.
bad if I leave, right?
You mean you
I'm
don't wanna?
interested in your meeting, but.
By the-
You don't go to enough meetings, huh?
By the
Well,
way-
when I do my budget, it's like, you ever see that movie, that commercial, New York Lottery, that everybody runs out of the room?
Yes.
Everybody has their presentations, then I get to do the budget meeting, and the room clears.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, by the way, I'm really glad we're not the electric company, but I love that you put up your
Yeah.
display every year. I drive the neighbors by, it's great.
You know,
It's
man,
always great.
I said to Marty, I said, this has gotta be the last, I can't, my knees are killing me. My daughter's pushing me, but they're getting married this year,
Oh.
so they'll be moving out.
Yeah, I quit mowing my lawn when my kids moved out too, yeah.
Yeah. Good night, everybody, have a good holiday, thank
You
you.
too. Thank you very much. All right, moving on to correspondence. Was there anything late that came in, all right? We got, minutes, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the regular meeting of November 20th.
So,
All right, second. Any discussion, corrections? Hearing none. Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, that carries. 2018 meeting schedule. Now, let me flip to the page there. You have in front of you two schedules. One schedule, the one on top, if these are in order, has monthly, going back to monthly meetings instead of twice a month. And then the other one is what we've been doing all along, which is twice a month except when it falls on a holiday. We went to 2 times a month about 4 years ago when there was, an awful lot of hard and heavy decisions that needed to be made, a lot of construction just getting started, a lot of bid process. So I want to ask you guys the question. We can go either way. I was going to propose that we consider going back to once a month and then scheduling special meetings if necessary, as opposed to maintaining a twice a month schedule. What are your thoughts?
I'd rather have 2 meetings a month, and if we had to, we could cancel the meeting.
You, so you wanna go the other way? Okay.
Is that easier for you to do, to cancel than it is to add?
6 to 1, half dozen to the other. The only advantage to having it on the calendar is that the date is held, so, so we're messing with your life and you're not planning to do something else when there might be a meeting. That's really the only consideration.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
think there's still a lot of stuff that we need to be reviewing,
All right,
INI and,
The INI is coming up,
Yeah.
possibly a new director to work with.
okay. All right,
Or stick with the 2 then?
okay, so then I'll put a motion on the floor to accept the 2018 meeting schedule that begins January 8th, goes to February 5th, and March 5th, and March 19th, and so on, between the two. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so we'll put a big check on that one and an X on the other one. So we can get that posted in the town clerk's office. All right, financial report, Bob?
Okay, Kathy handed out the report a few minutes ago.
Yep.
The summary schedule on the front there shows the water department now. I adjusted the way the reports were done in the past to the current format. So right now, the water department shows $371,000 in surplus, and sewer shows $640. The first page has, and that's the next page, it would have the breakdown of the water. And you can see that down towards the bottom, you've got the 371. And in the past, we would always include the capital expenditures,
Mhm.
which represents about $900,000. So you would have a decent loss deficit in the water department. But I separated that out just to give you the visibility of what the department is doing by itself, and also, you know, how much money we're spending in capital expenditures.
Mm-hmm.
The capital items are not included up above, they're totally separate at this point. What is included at the top is the loans that we received from Maple Avenue and Hoyts Hill. And then, of course, down at the bottom, I subtract that out just to give you the, because that's really not, at this point.
Right.
We're receiving the money, but it's not additional revenue to the department.
Right.
So, the next page is the same breakdown, and that's the sewer department. And that shows capital expenditures of $190,000 and a surplus at $640. And there's a little difference in there as far as the Stony Hill sewers. It shows the revenue that's collected for the sewer debt, and then also the payment that's going out. So I subtract that off of the net revenue to bring it down to the $640, because we have the revenue up above, it's in sewer assessments, and then you've got in debt service, you've got the payments for the sewer system.
Mhm.
So you have to adjust that down. Going through the report on page 3, details of the contracted services and water professional services. That's a payment to Wright Pierce, and that's included in the capital expenditures on the first page. And the modern construction, that was the payment of the retainage of $52,889. Just moving on, in the water department, there's the purchase of the truck, the new pickup truck, that's $15,000, and you see that in the sewer as well, this was 50/50. And then the $40,000, $40,967, that's paid to Core and Main, and I assume that's for the water mains. I don't know, I don't recommend, I didn't pull the bill, so I'm not sure.
That's the parts, yes.
Okay, all right, and then the big item, the $785,000, is on page 10 and 11, and the details are, Burns Construction for 102, small amount of Cannondale generators, Hydrotech for $6,200, it was a credit to John Brennan. The big item there is an Elias for $616,000, and then Wright Pierce had payments of $64,000. So that would pretty much take care of the water department, and then moving on to the sewer, which starts on page 6. We ran the reports differently, we just ran them one right after the other, so there's not a breakdown. But the first big payment in contracted services, just like last month, was to the city of Danbury for the usage, that's on page 7. And then you see a pickup truck on page 8. And the last item contracted services for $175. That's the last page of the report, and, Aquarium, $68. The big item in there is, JWC Environmental for $121, and then Kovacs, $40,000, Weston and Sampson, $9,400, and Pierce, $2,200. So, other than that, the rest of the report is pretty much straightforward. There's nothing that's, glaring or sticking out, so, that's all I
Okay.
have.
All right. So, as you look at this, as we move into 2018, knowing that we have another modest rate increase going into effect after the first of the year, I think, not January 1st, but what, March 1st, I think? Is when it hits?
No, even later now, I think it's April.
Yeah, April.
Yeah, we'll
Run.
start to see the money coming in April.
Yeah.
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 So, knowing that those increases are coming next year, does the revenue stream look like it's healthy enough to support the capital improvements that we still have coming on stream?
I think over a period of time, it's not gonna do it right away, but I think it will over a period of time.
Okay,
We have the loans coming in from the different sources. You have Eureka,
mhm,
Hoyt Hill, and then you also have the Maple Avenue Wells, so, and the payments going back on that are gonna certainly within the realm.
yeah,
Those are 20-year notes, and when we go back to, I forget his name, Chris, is it Chris? From,
Oh,
the guy
from-
that does the
yeah,
great model.
Chris Woodcock, yeah.
I mean, we can bring that out to him, but I think right now, we're in good shape.
Okay. How much debt do we still owe to the general fund from water?
You know, we really, it's not an easy calculation because everything goes through the due to, due from, and water, and also sewer, you know, each one has its own.
Mhm.
But when I say everything, it's like the payments for the Eureka water tank, the Hoyt Hill pump station, the Maple Avenue wells. We gotta sit down and actually go back over a couple of years and pull those pieces apart. And I'm gonna try to get that done in January. And bring it down to a core amount just for the amount that represents the payments that we're making now on the loans,
Mhm.
the payments we make for the construction of the assets, and also for, you know, what's available for the surplus or the deficit, you know. If you look at the number right now in the general ledger, you're at $3.5 million in deficit, but it includes the capital items. So like last year, we had almost $1 million for Maple Avenue.
Right.
That's still in there, and you got 1.2, 1.3 for Hoyt Hill.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's 2 million of the 3.5. There's still a piece in there from the Eureka water tank, which may be $600,000 to $700,000.
Mhm.
That's gotta come out. So the amount, you know, you start to subtract those off to 3.5. I think it's gonna be under $1 million at this point, and just continue to go down as we continue to collect the revenue.
Would it help to assign it a vendor code? Like it was like a supplier code, so you
Well,
can,
we do that for the purposes of paying the bills.
Yeah.
But when, it doesn't have its own checking account anymore.
yeah,
When Joe, we started the Munis system, Joe wanted to get rid of, we had like 35, 40 different checking accounts. And, yeah, and
Wow.
he said, just get rid of these things and blend them all together into separate accounts in the general ledger, in the Munis system, and
Mhm.
let it run through as a due to and due from. And that's what we've been doing, but it does make it a little bit more difficult to go back and start to pull these pieces apart.
Mhm.
But we'll get it done. I mean, you know, I should
Okay.
have something in January.
okay. All right, very good. Do you guys have any other questions? Okay. Alrighty then, moving on to invoices. To get the discussion started, I will make a motion, put a motion on the floor that we approve the regular, the invoices for the regular meeting dated December 18, 2017, in the amount of $61,184.15. Is there a second?
Second.
And it looks like we have legal bills, Wright Pierce bills, and Zanellis.
I have a question, Mayor's
Yes.
wants to make a statement.
Yes.
Yes, I'd just like to make.
Oh,
a
I'm sorry, I
comment.
didn't look up.
So what I would recommend is, I would recommend to hold off on paying Zanellis the $38,000
Okay.
this week. They still have some punch list items that need to complete at the station, and we had a meeting today, so recommend to pay, till the next meeting.
All right. Thank you for staying on top of that.
Sure.
In that case,
I did it already.
okay,
It was $23,122.40.
23,140
$122.40.
okay. So I'll amend the motion to remove item number 1 and pay invoices in the total amount of $23,122.40. Okay, all right. Further questions? All right, hearing none, those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, that carries. We're gonna skip the director's report. Doug has a family situation today and could not be here. So that brings us to new business. 178 Greenwood Avenue. This is the Stipe building that burned last July. There are plans to reconstruct, and there is a need to run a new water line from Depot Street up in the back of the property, up between the building and the Putnam House Restaurant. And it was held up for a little bit because nobody knew who owned the property. And we conducted a title search and found that there is an owner. It's not the town of Bethel, but we can proceed with that. So what we need to do is just have a formal vote to approve putting in a water line and a hydrant for public safety up at the top of that hill.
On the back side of it?
Yeah, on the back side of it. And Marty, if you wanted to add anything to that? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I just wanna let you know about the title search. What happened was, it's referred to by a couple of properties that surround it as, south by Public Alleyway, north by Public Alleyway. And, it took them a week to do the search. And they went back to when they finally found
Go back to England.
Book 2 of the Town of Bethel's records, which is in 1861. They found out that a gentleman by the name of Augustus Fisher purchased a large tract there, and he started breaking it up and selling off portions of it. And what happened was there were 3 or 4 pieces that he would put as a boundary, again, south by Public Alleyway, north, and he owns it. His family owns it. We have no idea who the current heirs are, all right, but I think the consensus by the title insurance company was, who did the search, that it was always intended to be used by others surrounding the property. That's the conclusion they came to. There's already been Matola's property at the Putnam House. He put in a 4-inch line in there years ago. And I guess he had the same problem. He needed more potential water strength, I'm gonna call it, for the system, for the sprinkler system. Unfortunately, I was gonna contact Kathy, see if we could find that file to see what happened, but I haven't had a chance to. So that's about it. I don't think that there's anybody that's gonna come out of the woodwork asking what's going on. You know, as I mentioned to Matt, that the worst case scenario, if we help put in this line to be used by everybody there, especially with the hydrant at the end, the worst case scenario is if somebody comes forward and says, hey, it's my property, well, we can either negotiate an easement for the guy, or we can condemn the property, one or the other. And I don't think it'd be a lot of money.
Taxes,
Yeah,
right?
I don't think it'd be a lot of money either. So, I mean,
What,
but be aware,
1861?
it's not our property though.
Yeah,
Like I said, the likelihood of somebody coming out of the woodwork after
okay, and it's
170 years is practically nil.
it's been used, it's
And that's
established
right.
use as a
Yeah.
public pass and repass, so.
Right, that's correct.
So does adverse possession come in, if you're using it?
Well, that
if
was
you were
one of the
using it,
things.
Someone else is using it?
Yeah, but I think if the assumption was that, if the assumption that the title insurance company is taking was that everybody was to use it, there was some permission. It's not adverse then.
Oh,
So it would still be owned by then. But my only issue was, we all know back in 1860, they had horses, and so it was pretty obvious that it would be the rights to pass and repass. But nowadays, at that time, I don't think they contemplated putting water lines in the ground. You know, that's the only issue that I had, and it's not, like I said, it's, realistically, I don't think anything's gonna happen. So, and if it does, we just negotiate and deal with it, that's all.
Now, how far up does that line, how far up would that property go?
I have,
Probably 300
the
feet.
the access way is probably, a couple hundred feet maybe. I think I've got a,
So it could be used to service other properties in there as well?
In the future.
yeah, that was the idea.
I'm just asking about for the sizing of the line.
Yeah, you can see it, you can't see it too well here, I'll pass it to you. You can see, this was a magic marker mark, it goes up to here. It goes behind, the old Greenwoods, goes behind Stoggs Building, and the next building goes up to here. I don't know if you wanna pass it around, you can barely see that mark, but that's it.
All right, and so, is the town gonna install this line, or?
I don't know. I think that there was some talk that maybe if we put a hydrant at the end, that maybe we could make an agreement with the owners that maybe, and this is not up to me, that maybe we would supply materials and like we've done with other places, and they supply the labor to put it in.
Well, the motion I plan to put on the floor today simply indicates that we'll allow the line to be put in. As far as I'm concerned, unless otherwise negotiated, and we have not been approached at this point, the builder, the property owner would be responsible for that. So, until any such time as they approach us and have some kind of an offer, then that's what we do. Is that square with what you know, Kelly?
Actually, I had the potential buyer, talk to me, and also the Stock family, Mike, I can't think of his last name right now. But
Norkowski.
210 feet will bring us right to the peak of the property before you drop off into where
Right.
the garage.
Yeah,
So 210 feet, I'm thinking a 6-inch line, put a hydrant at the top with a T. So if for some reason they ever had to put a sprinkler system into the last building, all they would have to do is come off the end of that line. This would also pick up a 4-inch line and going to give them fire protection into 178. But I'm figuring in parts about $10,000.
Okay.
And so if that's something that'll help the eyesore downtown to get it moving, maybe this would be a way for the PUC to get a little more fire protection, because that's what we're really here for. We're not here for drinking water as much as we are for fire protection.
Right.
And that would give us a hydrant up in the back, which would also help the Putnam House if anything ever happened, God forbid, in there. And you just have a little added protection there. But I did, Jeff Bruno was one of the gentlemen that was interested in negotiating the property, and I told him how we had talked a little bit about this. But that's kind of where the plan is now. But I
Okay.
thought that if we could put the $10,000 worth of parts, let him do the labor to put it in, and then he could take his 4-inch line in, he would own it from the 4-inch valve going into the building.
Well, but we don't have a formal proposal from them at this point, do we?
No,
So,
no, this is
okay,
all
well,
verbal.
seeing as how we just locked ourselves into every 2 weeks, we'll have plenty of time.
Kelly, I would recommend, just like you said, going up to the crest of that driveway,
Yeah.
where Putnam House driveway goes in next to that other driveway parking lot.
There's some short pines there, that, right there along the property, and that's what I measured up to, where you could actually tuck a hydrant in. And
right.
it wouldn't.
Yeah,
it wouldn't,
because if you put a hydrant at that far end, you're never gonna get a truck up in there if that building's on fire,
Well,
yeah.
Long hoses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not gonna.
Take our sturdiest firefighters and have them run up the hill with the hose.
Okay,
Then they're done that.
all right, so we
Yeah.
just give them permission to hook up.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion that we permit the installation of a water line behind 178 Greenwood, water line and fire hydrant in the area indicated. Second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion?
Thanks.
Hearing none, those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That carries. Here's your grocery list, I just got mine on a text message. Okay, under old business. Water rules and regs, the fee schedule. Are you guys ready to vote and send, that has to go to a public hearing, so I wanted to know if you guys wanted to vote.
Paul and Pete aren't here, so,
But did Paul or Pete have any further feedback on the fees?
I didn't receive anything, I don't think Kelly did.
Well, we could approve them for the meeting, and then if
Yeah.
anything's adjusted, we could still.
It's not gonna happen till the end of January
Yeah.
anyway. All right, so I'll put a motion on the floor to approve the fee schedule as presented by Kelly.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor? Aye,
Aye.
that carries. Marius, you're up.
Okay.
Hey, Dino, where's my granddaughter again?
I was gonna jokingly say that.
She got my phone for
Oh.
birthday.
Just want to give a quick update on the
Careful,
ongoing
man.
projects.
Just gonna give you your number.
Yeah,
So the Hoyts Hill Booster Station today, last week was a very successful week. We filled the tank with water in the back, we chlorinated the tank. Ed and Kelly took the water samples today and sent it out to the lab for bacterial testing and VOC testing.
mhm,
And also on Friday last week, we did a preliminary testing of all the electrical and pumping equipment inside the station. We essentially didn't send the water to distribution, but we recycled back to the tank. And that went very well. We got pretty good results. Originally, we had a scheduled startup for this Wednesday. However, we don't anticipate that we're gonna get results back from the lab, bacterial results in VOC, so we have to hold off. And also with the oncoming holidays, the town staff didn't feel comfortable that we should really experiment with the new station and, take the bypass away. So right now, we're gonna come up with a new date to basically, send the water to the system. It might be after January 1st. The one reason why I wanted to withhold the payment, because there's still some punch list items that we want Zanellas to complete this week and next week,
mhm.
before we put the station online. We had a meeting today with them at 1 o'clock. Kelly was there and Ed, and we went through the entire station. And, they're gonna be there tomorrow, starting working on the inside station to get all the punch list items, painting and all that other stuff done. And then we talked about how we're gonna actually put this station online. When we put the station online, we want the station to be operational for at least 1 week before we take the bypass away, because if something happens, then we have the backup water for the system. So that's been all worked out with the town and everything. Right now, it's planned to be on January 2nd.
Okay,
And then, we still have to wait for the DPH results, but, there was no issue with the testing, everything worked. So we just, just with the holidays upcoming and everything, we were not comfortable to actually starting the station when, people are gonna be on vacation and you're gonna have, not enough staff on the water department to basically go out to any emergencies.
okay.
So that was the decision that we made today in the field. But then, they're gonna complete the rest of the items there. And then, once the station's working for a week, they're gonna take away all the bypass equipment and basically finish up the site plan work. The next project, Briarcliff Manor Booster Station construction. So I believe in your attachment, there's a copy of the letter from the DPH giving us the extension for the construction.
That was attached.
Where's, yeah,
Yeah, there's no attachment.
there's no attachment either for the other one either.
Oh, okay, it wasn't, yeah, but I have a copy of this letter, so I'll hang it out. Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So we received the extension until June 30th, 2018 to complete the project. So I've been in touch with True Brew Environmental, and then they're in the process of submitting shop drawings for our review. And also, we have a meeting set up for this Thursday in the morning to basically walk the site, delineate, tree clearing, make sure that, they understand what they need to do. So that's scheduled for 8 o'clock on Thursday morning. So Wright Pierce staff and True Brew Environmental will be there. We're gonna walk the easement. They previously walked the easement, and they've noticed there's some down power lines, so we're gonna take a look at that, whether it's a private power line, it's a small wire, but, we're gonna have to see, if this is from private property, or is it something that's left, that's, really dead, and we need to just take it out. We may have to call the power company, but that's something we're gonna look at on Thursday morning.
Mhm.
But again, what they're planning on doing, at least this winter, is to really work just in the easement, stay off the road, and really just get the clearing done, get ready for the excavation of the water main. And they plan to submit all the shop drawings, all the submittal to us, so everything can be approved in order, so when the springtime comes, they could actually get going and, build the project.
Mhm.
So the next update here on the additional groundwater supplies, Bergstrom Field exploratory work. So last week, we were out there with the driller, and out of the 6 wells, we completed 3 test wells. One of the wells was tested for flow, and we're actually able to pump, 80 gallons a minute on a small size, which is really, really good. That's what we expected to get there. So, on a large scale, we're probably gonna get, 200 to 300 gallons a minute out of that well. And then the contractor, the drill, is gonna be back there with our hydrogeologist this week to complete 3 additional wells in the northern part of the site. And also gonna do a pump test, small scale pump test, just to see how much water we can get out of the well field. And then once that pump test is completed, we'll prepare a final report to the Connecticut DEP and Connecticut DPH, and basically tell them, how much water, we're asking for how much water potentially we can get out of that, aquifer. And that's gonna be submitted probably sometime in January.
Okay.
I have a question, and I drove down here today, and then one of the test wells was close to Maple Avenue there. The rig is still set up there, next
Okay.
to the brook.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't they in that location?
Well, it probably wasn't a test well, it might have been to measure the brook level or the water level near the brook, because we need to measure basically the stream flow, how much water we're taking out from the brook.
Okay,
So
all
this
right.
could be part of the observation wells,
Oh, okay.
not the well to take
Not
the
a
water,
well,
right?
because we were way
Right.
down in the woods
No,
before.
right, yeah, this was probably the observation well, because part of the DEP, we need to basically tell them, well, are we gonna impact the stream and the wetlands? So we needed
Is
to
that a
monitor.
part of the 6 wells, or is it?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, that's part of the 6 wells. So the testing will be done this week, and then we're gonna work on a report submitted to the DEP, and probably, come in front of PEC and, basically present our findings, and then we'll go to the next phase of that project. And then what I've also included part of email last week was basically 2 proposals. One was for the water main replacement, and one for the construction administration and part-time inspection for the Briarcliff Pump Station project. So I guess on the water mains, we met with Richie and Kelly, and talked about, which water lines to be replaced, for construction for next year. So that table is shown right there. And it's really, we're gonna be utilizing, aerial maps to basically use it as a base. That's what we did on the other projects for Andrew Street and everything else, and, coordinate everything. We're able to keep the cost down. I mean, if you look at the design costs, they're like, 4 or 5% of total construction costs, so they're, down the low side for the design on both. And then, if you get authorization, we can go to the design on the water mains in the winter time, so they can be ready for construction in the spring. And also these water mains, we apply for funding from the Connecticut DPH, so we have to update them with the new list, and then, apply for funding, and construction of the water main will probably get 20 to 25% grant.
Yeah.
Okay.
He had a chart, I saw, and I don't see it here, that we've underutilized the grant money
Yeah.
that we've had so far, so, that's what, this 4,000 feet of pipe here that they're gonna replace, that's a significant, probably amount of money, but, there is the grant money that there's gonna help,
Right.
reduce the cost, so.
All right.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Just, we're talking about the water proposal,
Sure.
right? I know at the end it says the following will not be completed by the town. And I understand independent materials and compaction testing, but inspection services, who's gonna do it if you don't do it?
Well, we're gonna do a part-time, it's gonna be part-time inspection, and then, Kelly usually does the water main inspection, so.
Okay. And this is a general comment for the commission, and this is no reflection on your
Sure.
firm, because you've done an excellent job. How come we're not putting any of this stuff out in RFPs?
What?
RFPs,
For this work,
or any of this?
this is just for the engineering.
Yeah, so what? I'm
Well-
just asking the question. I don't know, we do it just about for everything else.
Well,
Like I said,
Yeah.
I've got no complaints about, I think they've done a great job, I'm just curious.
I was thinking of that too. I mean, we do the bids on the construction, but we're kind of joined at the hip with Wright Pierce on this, because they've done the 20-year capital plan, and this is all an offshoot being pulled out of that plan. So it'd be, it's something we'll have to look at in the future, but it'd be kind of difficult to pull out stuff and then start over on it.
Oh, I don't know, this doesn't look too difficult to me, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I'm not an engineer, but I mean, from what I see described, I mean, even I understand it.
Mhm.
And I'm not an expert on it, but I just was curious, that's all.
Well, so noted, thank you. Do you need a motion on these today?
Yes, possible, yeah.
Okay,
I'll make the motion.
all right.
Make the motion that we authorize Ray Pierce to design service work and the bidding phase for a total of $35,442 as submitted.
And this is on the,
The proposed design for water main replacement.
yeah, for
That's,
2018.
And reference table 1 of Ray Pierce documents dated December 12th, 2017.
Mhm. I'll second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, in task number 1, item number 3, it says conduct site visits to locate and confirm. What is your involvement and who else assists with this?
So this is pretty much for project engineer and the junior engineer to go out there and basically verify existing, utilities, catch basins, open up manholes, storm drains, just to verify, that, the aerial photograph is correct. Because we're not doing a true survey, which you will pay a lot more money for that. So instead of doing a true survey, because we're just doing a water main, we're just gonna go out and verify major existing utilities out there.
So there's a solo task, it's just your people doing
Yes,
that, it's
yep,
no one else?
yes, yep.
And in task number 2, number 1, what is your involvement in?
So what we're involved is we're gonna provide bidding documents to the town. We usually provide 10 copies of paper copies, and, we basically help, advertise, provide language for the advertisement.
But what is your assistance in advertising for bids?
Well, we provide sets of documents. We provide hard copies of the documents. We provide the language for the newspapers. We have to coordinate with the state DPH. Make sure that advertisement is per their standards.
You mean the legal language?
The legal
for the-
documents.
Yeah.
Right, and that's also do the paperwork with the state for the
Right,
grants and
right,
stuff.
right.
But that was listed up, I thought that was number 7.
Well, that's the review of the bids, yes, that's the review of the bids. So when we get the bids back, we review, the qualification of the low bidder and, and issue recommendation letter to the town and the state. So we check references and.
Okay. All right, further questions? All right, you ready to vote?
Sure.
So a motion on the floor to approve proposal for design services for water main replacements for 2018. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Now you need a second vote on the Briarcliff proposal as well? Okay. All right, I'll make a motion that we approve a total not to exceed $28,277 for the Briarcliff Pump Station Water Main Extension Project, proposal for construction administration and part-time inspection services. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Questions?
Yeah, in task number 2, item number A, is that work, according to town part-time inspection, is that part of the 40 hours that's commented on the?
Yes. Yep.
So where does the 50 hours come from down here then, in the table?
On the table, let me see. Oh, you should take that. Let me see here. Typo here.
I print out of attachment A, it was
Yeah,
so tiny
yeah,
I
I
could
think
barely
we'll do
read
that,
it, so.
yeah. Yeah, so the 40 hours is if you look at the table, it's 2A, and then the 10 hours is 2B.
Two B?
Yeah, so it's, so it's 45, 45 hours. So I guess, the 50 is probably a typo there.
Did they add the 40, did they add 2B with the one below it, item A, project management.
No, that should be separate. Maybe yes, yeah. Because that comes out to a 50, yes, that's the answer, yep. So it's 40 plus,
Okay, so,
yeah, that's total 50 on that. So task 2 should be total 50, and that's 40 plus 5 plus 5, so.
okay, so the chart, estimated hours of 50, task 2, 50 hours is correct, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it's on the attachment A, it's the bottom
Here,
three.
Yeah.
you can see,
It's the bottom three.
Yep.
it's 45 and 5.
yeah, that's what I was
There's
looking
5
at.
hours for, which is included in the 54. 1 hour per month for invoicing and coordination with Connecticut DPH. That doesn't show on the main thing, but it shows
Yeah.
up on the attachment A.
Okay. Great. Any other questions?
Nope.
Right. Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. That carries.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Kelly,
I've got nothing.
There's-
Everything's running fine, I have nothing to report.
nothing's leaking?
Yeah.
All right, all the pumps are running?
Grinder working with,
I was gonna say, how are the muffin monsters?
They're
Or-
wonderful.
has lowered the head in the,
Oh, quite a bit,
yeah.
yeah, you should stop down there someday. It'll be totally different night and day.
yeah.
All right, great. Well, thank you very much. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Can I ask a question? It's not really a question.
Okay.
I think it might be directed to Kathy. Do you think, I looked over the PowerPoint that Doug did the last time he sent it. You know, it'd be nice if we had, for people like me, laypersons, if we knew what roads he's talking about that the new main lines have been put in. Nowheres in his report does he say what roads were done when the new lines were put in. And I'd appreciate it if we can get a printout of what those lines were so we know what's been done.
So what's already been done?
That's correct.
Sure, okay, yeah, we'll do it.
All right, I'll talk to him about that.
All right, thank you. So, do we have a motion? Or so,
Yes,
did you?
we do. Well,
Okay,
we did, sorry.
all right. Okay, those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you very much. Wow, new record.
So, is there anything about the HRR? Were we off?
Are we off the air?
Yes, thank you. Yeah,